Things you did not know about the league.
Oh,
It debuted October 29th, 2009. And I try to tell people that even if you don't like fantasy football or you've never played fantasy football, it's still a funny show.
still a funny show, but because of how topical and how stuck in time the players are, it's a little hard to rewatch now.
Oh, see, I'd love rewatching it. I rewatch it all the time, but I also knew what was going on back then, so I think having that history with it probably helps. But the idea for the show actually came in the French Alps. So if you guys didn't know, Jeff and Jackie Schaefer, the married couple, they came up with the show. They were on vacation in the French Alps. Jeff told his wife that some food had upset his stomach and he needed to go to the bathroom. But in reality, he just went outside to check on his fantasy team. Okay. But this was before smartphones were a thing. So he actually just went outside and called somebody back in the States to find out how his team was doing. And originally, Paul Scheer, who's right here, the Dre, if you will, he wasn't going to audition for the show, but Nick Kroll here actually convinced him to do it. All right. Now, the Shiva that's on the trophy, if you don't know this, they have a fantasy football trophy that's called the Shiva, and it was a girl that they had a crush on in high school. So the picture is, it was a random actress who got called to just a random casting call, and they took her picture, and they just happened to have it, and that's what went on the trophy. Now, the actress who plays adult Shiva was, I think I'm pronouncing her name right, Janina Gavankar.
Yeah, it looks completely like the...
Well, I think the thing that they were going for there was that she grew up.
Yeah, and apparently had the Michael Jackson treatment, and it went from possibly Pakistani into Puerto Rican.
You might also recognize her from Star Wars. If you ever played Battlefront 2, she is Iden Versio.
Episode 7 of the season 47.
The show did create a lot of its own vocabulary. You remember the term frittata?
Frittata?
That was to get around. That was to get around FX's standards and practices to describe a less intelligent person.
Oh, okay.
So they would call Taco a frittata frequently. Bobby Lee, when he shows up and they're at the Chinese restaurant, he's a frittata. Don't forget Fear Boner.
God.
And finally, one of the reasons that they ended up giving Ted AIDS. So he's played by Adam Brody. He ends up showing up at the end of season 4. And in the show, they actually give him AIDS. And the whole point was Jackie Schaefer, she thought that it would be funny if the rest of the league, the people who play in the league, believed that somehow his AIDS drugs made him better at fantasy football.
Oh, God.
And that's where that whole storyline was born.
They didn't physically give him AIDS, right?
No, good Lord, Frank, come on.
I mean, you said they gave him AIDS. I don't know.
In the show. Jesus.
I mean, yeah, in the show. They wrote in that they gave him AIDS. They found a hypodermic needle and
oh my God, like the South Park episode when Cartman takes the needle and squirts it.
One of the best episodes ever, really.
And they find out the cure to
Magic
AIDS
Johnson cures them.
is money because Magic Johnson's been sleeping on top of a pile of... Dude, how brilliant was that episode? So good.
Genius.
All right.
AIDS burger in paradise.